Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Friends, let us begin. I will invite the chime to sing and set the intention for our practice. For anyone joining us for the very first time, for the month of March and for the month of April, we are exploring the very nuanced theme of forgiveness. And so we have been curating practices and meditations focused solely on forgiveness and the ways we can access it, the habit energy we have associated with it, the patterns of thought we have, the ways that we inhibit ourselves from receiving forgiveness, for being forgiving, and so on. So we'll continue with our conversation. But for now, let me share with you a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. This one reads, may you trust your own mystery. May you trust your own mystery. I'd like you to all arrive fully to this beautiful, beautiful practice. This Buddhist inspired approach to excavating the conditions of our habit energy that bring misery to ourselves and others. We employ the Noble Eightfold Path, those beautiful wisdom and ethical elements that guide our practices. We take a moment to allow space for wise understanding, to open the mind and the heart, wise intention. Today, our intention is to open to mystery and allow that word to roll around in your imagination and see what comes alive for you. May those intentions that you have for yourself and the one we've set here today be a guiding force for your wise actions. One of them being the way you speak. May it be wise. May you have the awareness of your practice leading to wise efforts. And even should you err, even if you should fall back into habit energy, may that awareness of wise effort bring you back out into learning and growth. May that be a profound and strong foundation for your whole life, wise livelihood. And may you access it all through your practice of mindfulness and concentration. May the Noble Eightfold Path be alive in you as you practice. The Passadhi practice of regret, forgiveness, to peace and tranquility. This particular practice, as I've been talking about for the last few weeks, is made up of 5 different things, 5 different concepts. The first is a regret that you allow to come forward. The second is your capacity to refrain. And the thing that we've been practicing refraining is our harsh speech to ourselves. We are refraining from allowing that harsh speech to steer the ship, to navigate us, and instead we are reframing the whole conversation with ourselves regarding this regret with something a little bit more gentle. We then practice remediation, which is a way of pausing, a way of slowing everything down so that we don't spin out in the story of regret. We don't spin out in the stories of lack of forgiveness, how miserable we felt, the victim that we are, the persecutor that we are, the oppressor that we are, and so on. So what we do is we can remediate by simply breathing, by chanting, by saying mantras of loving kindness. The fourth element of this practice is to make a resolution to actually bring to mind, call to our full attention and awareness, a devotion that we are going to continue to keep learning, keep growing, cultivate that limitless quality of equanimity so that should we make a mistake, should we fall into habit energy again, instead of running away from it, instead of diminishing ourselves and berating ourselves, we're going to keep practicing. This brings us to our fifth element, which is repeat. We do this over and over and over again. So I'd like to share with you a little bit of a personal story, something that's very alive in me today. And that is that I have a 19-year-old daughter, Aria, and she's in Paris right now with COVID. And she's on a school trip. She's been she went to London for a week, and she's now in Paris for a week, and she's really sick. And I noticed today my reactivity of wanting to pepper her with questions in a really panicky, tense, almost angry way. And this was in text, and I could feel all my stress and worry very tight in my shoulders, very tight in my chest, and even tight in my thumbs as I was texting her. Have you seen a doctor? Do your advisors know? Are you drinking water? La 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 la. And then I was like, wait a minute. Whoa, Julia, darling. Whoo, yikes. You are a practitioner. Erase all of that and breathe. Aria does not need to be burdened with your stress and panic. What she needs is compassion and encouragement. Today was supposed to be her tour of Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, and it was the one thing she was looking forward to in these 2 weeks, and she can't go. I don't want my daughter to feel disappointed. I don't want her to be sick. I only want her to be happy and peaceful forever and ever. Amen. I want her to have the perfect world and the perfect conditions for the perfect life. Hooray, hurrah. No way, Jose. Ain't gonna happen. My regret that is alive for me are all the times in her growing up where I didn't have restraint and I projected all of my anxiety and panic and fear at her and on her. The gentle voice I'm using is, gosh, Julia, wow. Sweetie, what a human thing to do. You know, you're allowed to be scared. Aria has had a very traumatic health history. It is scary for her, and good for you for learning. Way to go, Julia. Good job. My remediation practice has been the Tonglen practice, which I brought forward yesterday. And that was the beautiful recognition that there are millions and millions of mothers and fathers and friends and sisters who feel exactly the same way I do. Some of them who don't have any access to this practice, they have no awareness of their actions, skillful or otherwise. They're projecting all of their fear and anxiety all over the place. They are unintentionally causing all kinds of undue harm and stress. Wow. May I breathe in their stress, their distress, their unskillful actions. They are just like me. I have been there. And may I breathe it in fully into the softness and openness of my own heart so that they may receive a little bit of peace, a little bit of gentleness and softness, some compassionate care. I resolve and I am devoted to this practice in such a way that today I could see the fruit of my effort. I did not have to impose on Arya, who is already burdened. I held that back. I held it for myself, and I could be completely present to her. And I gotta say, it felt so good, and I was super proud of myself. And rather than get all inflated with pride, I simply want to take that proud feeling as a positive reinforcer to keep going, to keep building on this feeling, because I know that I'm going to encounter it again and again and again. I think this practice of working with forgiveness, as I've laid it out here today, can arise in us on a daily basis. Simple little things. And for me, I've forgiven myself. I'm trying to be a little bit lighter toward myself about all those times I was unskillful, and I was. I was panicked and undertrained. Yep, I did that. And now I have more training and I am more skilled and I'm not making those mistakes anymore. Good for me. Both of those things are true at the same time. And I keep going. Forgiveness in the Buddhist practice is a peaceful, shifting way of approaching our misgivings, our mistakes, our regrets, allowing them to be wise teachers for our deepening awareness and wakefulness. When we can be solid in ourselves, we can then apply this practice to others, recognizing that the folly in others is the same folly within each of us. you can begin to appreciate that the efforts you make to forgive yourself and to become more peaceful as a human being in all of your actions, your thoughts, the way you express yourself internally and externally, peacefully, gently, compassionately, lovingly, this ripples out into the world and makes an enormous seismic shift. And if you recognize and believe the power of a single human being to create enormous harm, then you recognize its sister, which is the power within every human being to create enormous good. Both live within us, and we are here to deepen our understanding of it all, transform it, heal it, for the benefit of all human beings, all sentient beings. We'll end our practice today with a beautiful chant that we'll chant 3 times. This is to pay homage to Shakyamuni Buddha, to remember that the Buddha was a human being. We are human beings. He had the capacity to awaken to the conditions of his own misery. We have the capacity to awaken to the conditions of our own misery. He lived with those conditions all his life and practiced continually, as we are invited to do the same. If you know this chant, you can chant with me. Otherwise, you can just enjoy these beautiful words. Tayatao Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. Tayatao Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. Tayatao Muni Muni Maha Muni Soha. One of the things that I feel very inspired to share with you as we take a step toward the conclusion of our practice today, actually 2 things. One is the word that I brought forward by Roshi Joan Halifax on Wednesday's practice, which is the word self-cherishing. Now, if you practice at the Buddhist temple with Geshe-la here in Spokane, he wouldn't say, he's Tibetan, he wouldn't say self-cherishing because it's too soft. He'd say self-centered. We're so self-centered. And that's fine. He's allowed to say that. But I want you to play with that and think about it, because in our self-cherishing, in our self-centeredness, in particularly on the journey of recovery, we can get so me-focused that we inflate that immature ego, and we convince ourselves that we're the worst person in the world. We're just absolute unforgivable, worst thing ever, so on and so forth. And this brings me to the awareness that I want you to always keep close. Maybe even write this down and put it by your computer or something handy. But it's the Four Noble Reminders in Buddhism. And the Four Noble Reminders are, and this is, the first one is meant to broaden your perspective. You have a precious human life. And part of having a precious human life is recognizing with all humility, you ain't nothing special. And yet at the same time, you're so miraculously pristine. You have a precious human life. The second noble reminder is impermanence. Darren trusted this community with sadness, as did Sarah, just ventilating all of that deep emotion. And what I love about the remembrance of impermanence is it won't last. And so we don't really have to worry, oh my God, is the sadness going to last forever and ever? No, the nature of reality is impermanent. Likewise, when we're feeling blissed out and good, we don't have to worry that that's not going to last, because it's not. The nature of reality is impermanent. So we can lighten up a little bit. And in that lightness, we can begin to explore the third noble truth, which is our karma, our actions. What actions do you want to take? Do you want to create karmic seeds and fruit that bring more negativity and darkness? That is a choice. Or more light and sweetness. Up to you. And then the fourth noble reminder is the folly of samsara. And what that means is when you're having a bad time, and we have, like Yukio said, I'm holding myself hostage to this other person's forgiveness, and it's making me feel very tempted to want to return to habit energy, which is a folly in thinking that that's going to help. And we know that. And this particular reminder is asking us to take what we know and harmonize it with what we feel so that our actions stay wise and true. We dedicate this practice to all beings out there, especially our friends and family and loved ones and strangers who are still suffering, afflicted with confusion and delusion and substance use. And we'll go ahead and end by just reciting these beautiful vows by Shantideva. All beings know pain and confusion. I vow to bring ease and clarity. The ways of delusion, rejection, and diminishment are endless. I vow to be spacious for healing and transformation. The paths of truth are infinite. I vow to joyfully devote myself to their realities. Awakening to the wholeness of life is a sacred purpose. I vow to embody it. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, may I too remain to dispel the misery of the world. Thank you so much, friends and warriors and wise teachers, for your beautiful practice today. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow or next time. Until then, namaste.